Right. Thank you for staying with us. We continue the conversation we started earlier because, of course, we have to have, a line drawn on that as it comes part time, talking about the 2027 election and the choice of the people, the options available as at now to Nigerians, either to return President Bola Ahmed Tinubu if he will contest. I'm talking about officially because he hasn't said that, but of course, all signs are there that the man might be contesting again. But many eyes are, targeting that position of his. And one of them is Mr. Peter Obi, former governor of Anambra State and former presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections. And he has finally pitched his tent with the ADC, African Democratic Congress, after months of back and forth. So the coalition, many of them went with him. Some political bigwigs in the South, as you can see in this picture, in this video here, but it was a room full of many politicians, many of them former governors, former senators, sitting senators, and many of them saying, Peter Obi, you're welcome on board. But then there is this conversation in which the Obidient Movement, those are the Obi armies, supporters, many of them very, very ferocious supporters of Obi, in which they have declared that, they are not mobilizing support for former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi to now emerge as a vice president, because there are some that believe the ADC was put together for an ambition, rightfully or wrongfully, that notion, for the ambition of, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who hasn't really taken a position to stand down on, this ambition of his to become the president, which he has been trying for quite some time. And some have said for Peter Obi to finally pitch his tent with the ADC, maybe there has been conversations, and some have said maybe he might emerge as the VP to Atiku Abubakar. But many Obi supporters are saying we didn't come this far for you to support you as Peter Obi to emerge as a VP. Is either you emerge as a presidential candidate or nothing. And of course, these are some of the things we are following at this time. We have joining us today a politician, the DG at the Heritage Center, Affairs Policy and Public Affairs Analyst, Dr. Katch Onanuju. He joins us virtually and will be making sense of what is going on. Let me start with you. Good morning, by the way, Dr. Katch. Let me start right away. For the Obidient and supporters, Mr. Peter Obi, and the conversation we had with you last week as well, you told the Obedience part to say it's either president, show slot, or nothing. Will that not be a sign of entitlement taking too far? Is Obi the only one that knows how to, really paddle the affairs of Nigeria? Why that push to say it's either Obi emerges or nobody else?
Yes. We are having a continuation of a national discourse, which we started in 2023. And that discourse is, we have had the presidency stay in the North for 8 years, and we think it is time the presidency comes to the South. But of course, we discovered also there are Fulani politicians that already the presidency stay in the North forever. So that conversation has not stopped. And as we have now emerged in a brand new platform called the ADC, we are still insisting that they respect the fact that Buhari has done 8 years for the North. And now that we are seeking a country balancing, they should please respect that fact that Buhari has done 8 years for the North, and it is now the turn of the South. With President Tinubu already there as a presidential candidate and a president from the South, they should not disturb that rhythm of the South to complete its 8 years. And that's what we're begging, specifically the Fulani politicians who are the same people saying no. So we are not mincing words. And now that we are in the middle of this U.S. intervention in Nigerian political and security affairs, we also believe that the Americans will seek a balance that will sustain Nigeria's experiment in democracy. And we are appealing to those who are already hiring people. You could see the other day, after Pat Tommy spoke, you saw the hired hand, Dele Momodu, coming out to start charging back at him. That why should we say that? Our words are very simple. We are talking to the Fulani politicians to please allow other Nigerians have a sense of belonging in regards to the governance of our country. I'm not saying it to everybody in the north. I am talking to the Fulani politicians. They are the ones that do not want other Nigerians to be a part of the political process. The Americans have caught them doing jihad. I think they now understand that it's not just the jihad in which the Americans have passed a judgment that they have a historical affinity to this terrorism, and going back to denials, which they normally do, will not serve anybody any good. So this is not a new conversation. We are saying that even as we have now seen Peter Obi join this ADC platform, that the storyline and our points of persuasion and argument have not changed. We seek the Fulani politicians to allow the inclusion of Nigerians, especially Christians from the South, a participation in the governance of Nigeria. That's what we're saying, and that's the argument. So we do not want all this back and forth from hired hands like Dele Momodu. It's not going to help. We are here discussing about nation building and the need to have other people included in the scheme of things.
If the narrative, according to you, is about fairness and justice, that the North has had its fair share in that unconventional arrangement of 8 years that were used by the late Muhammadu Buhari, there is a southern man there right now, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who has a mandate of 4 years, and you are saying the South should see out his own 8 years as well. So if it's about justice, it's about the South completing his 8 years. So why not leave Tinubu complete his 8 years if actually Nigerians will want to vote for him? Why that definitive narrative of Obi? Obi, it has to be Obi. Why? It can be anybody from the South.
It can be anybody, but so far, Tinubu has been found wanting by the world in terms of his incompetence to react to the Fulani war and the Fulani jihad. And that's why the Americans are here. And I can tell you very conveniently that there is a lot of investigations which the Americans have carried out. And some of them are saying that it looks like Tinubu is complicit in the jihad, in that Tinubu has been in power and he has been very comfortable with Nigerians being kept in concentration camps in Benue, in Plateau, in Niger, in Kaduna, and other parts of the country. And because of that, they might be looking for regime change. If there is any need for regime change, we think Peter Obi presents the best opportunities. That is the reason. So it cannot be Tinubu forever, since Tinubu has been there and yet have not been able to calibrate a response to the Fulani jihad. And now that the international community has come in, you've had around the storylines from Israel, and of course you've had the judgment by the Americans after they went to Benue State and did their on-ground verification of our complaints that despite Tinubu's being in power, he has not been able to arrest the genocidal ethnic cleansings against Christians in Benue, in Plateau, in Kaduna, and other parts of Nigeria. And so we find Tinubu guilty of negligence. And of course, you understand that negligence itself is a form of guilt. And that's what we're saying. We have a better candidate from the north who can finish the term of the south. We have a better candidate from the south who can finish the 8th term of the south.
All right, Dr. Katch, let's talk about this particular stance that you took earlier, and now the Obidient Movement have come out en masse to also take. This, you know that our political system is such that coalitions often decide elections, and now this particular stance that the Obidient Movement seem to be taking now, does it, you know, strengthen the leverage Peter Obi has, or are we going to see a weakened time for Peter Obi such that he falls out also with potential allies at this time? He's in a coalition now. He has recently moved in. Remember, this particular man is the one he also faced and walked away from in the 2023 elections, I mean, in the build-up. So does it strengthen it, or it's going to further weaken what he's supposed to have? Does it give him a leverage? Dr. Katch, all right, I think
we'll try and, you know, reconnect with him, actually, because that position, just like you said, that some might find offensive to say it's either this man or we are not in. Okay, you know, they have a right to support their own, actually, but this is not Labour Party. This is ADC, and I'm glad you put that position of coalition, people of different interests. And what you are pushing for is to say it can only be this man. If it's not this man, we are not interested. And some might say, sir, what CV does a Peter Obi has that is so superior than others that might have the same ambition? Let's say like Rotimi Amechi. There was a speaker.
Or David Ma.
Actually.
Well, another thing that would be interesting to know.
Yeah. Dr. Katch.
Yes.
Okay, right. Okay.
As I was saying, you have said some. I want to tell you, we also seek to find a balance in this country between Muslims and Christians. The idea of the political party APC, which was founded with Atiku, Buhari, and Tinubu, insisting that they will not allow Christians to partake in the governance of Nigeria, is wrong. I do not understand where they got that notion that only Muslims should rule Nigeria through fabrication of results, not allowing for free and fair elections, and then when they cancel everyone out, they impose a Muslim ticket. We think that is wrong.
Dr. Katch, is that an inference or it's a particular statement that was credited to which of them? Are you inferring because you just talked about free and fair elections and all of this? Are you inferring because of those incidents? Are you inferring from those incidents, or there was a particular statement leading to this fact?
I am inferring the incidents of people forgetting that at the end of the Nigerian Civil War, Nigeria was 35% Muslims. But after Buhari's coup and a cascade of coups that followed from Babangida's and that of Abacha, we now had an imposition of Muslim rule that today the Muslims make it impossible for Christians to survive a qualification or even a winning of the presidency. Like happened in 2023, we saw it was going on, the exit polls showed a blowout win for Peter Obi, and suddenly Buhari and his Muslim cabal arrested the election results and imposed Tinubu. What we are saying is there is a need for us to have that balance so that Christians and Muslims can continue to take turns in governing Nigeria. The way you impose a Muslim ticket and impose a standard that only Muslims should rule this country, and even what Atiku is doing is based on that understanding. Don't give the Christians in Nigeria any chance, even though Nigeria remains till this morning
Dr.
a
Katch,
Christian majority country.
Dr.
Look
Katch,
at the Middle Belt.
This coalitions and this advent that we're seeing, is it now religious or it is a regional thing? I mean, you're talking about a Muslim ticket now, or I mean, having Muslims and Christians run side. I mean,
Nigeria has had a raging Muslim versus Christian crisis, and it came about when Buhari did his coup and insisted that the Muslims won the civil war and should not share Nigeria as they were trying to do with Ekweme and Shagari's arrangements. And that's what I'm telling you. There is a need for us to return to balance. The Muslims should respect the fact that the Christians should have a right to rule after a Muslim rules. Imposing it that only Muslims should rule Nigeria is wrong.
All right, so
unsustainable.
Dr. Katch, my question was, does Peter Obi have the political stamina? You know, does he have a leverage to really hold the ADC to ransom, to say it's the presidency ticket or nothing? I'm talking about the Obidient Movement now. Do they have, I mean, does Peter Obi have that political stamina for the Obidient Movement to be making that position, to be taking that position to say it's presidency ticket only and nothing more?
Yes, Peter does have that from the followership across the country. He does have that from the record he brings to the coalition. He does has that from the history that Nigeria has. We have seen Muslims have done a kind of imposition of their standards taken from the days of the coup. And we're now saying, return this country, Nigeria, to a balance. Everybody is saying it. So since there have been a fraudulent maneuver that resulted in the imposition of only Muslim rule on Nigeria, allow Peter to help you break the ice. Return Nigeria back to the equilibrium that allows for inclusion. Muslims have been there. You've had Buhari for 6 years, for 8 years. Tinubu has now done another 4 years, 12 years for the Muslims. Allow us to have a mix. Let there be a Christian, a champion who showed his mettle in the 2023 election. Give it to Peter Obi, and that's what we're complaining, canvassing. And that's why I stand with Patu Tomi. If the coalition thinks that the momentum Obi brings is good, they should also consider ceding the ticket to him as a way of allowing the ticket stay in the South for another 4 years. If not,
Dr. Katch,
I am not going to back any ticket where Peter is as a vice presidential candidate.
Dr. Katch,
I will not
that's why
mistake.
I started from that angle earlier, that is this not a sense of entitlement taken too far? And I will explain. But then a quick fact check.
It is not. It is not.
Okay, yeah.
In 2019,
do we have the time to answer that, if I may?
The game.
Yeah. Let me just land. I will bring you in shortly, sir. You said something about the Muslim ticket, you know, that is currently being run between Tinubu and vice presidential team. Okay, we started like, you know, less than 3 years ago, right? Now, there is the part, and some will say, is it not just too convenient for you to start whatever has happened in this Fourth Republic with Tinubu, with Buhari, knowing fully well that we had an Olusegun Obasanjo who is a Christian for 8 years, Agulo Jonathan, who is a Christian, still alive, for 5 years, 13 years, before Buhari came in 8 years, and Tinubu has just spent less than 3 years, less than 11 years. So you put that 13 on one side and less than 11 on one side, but you keep talking about Muslim ticket, all of those things with Buhari. Now, the Fourth Republic didn't start with Buhari, Dr. Katch. It started with Olusegun Obasanjo, who spent 8 years. Jonathan, 5 years. So what kind of push are you having? That's number one. Number two, those obedience, people like yourself who might not be obedient, Patu told me, those other guys, are you saying they are supporting Peter Obi's quest to be president because they are Christians? Are the Obidient only made up of Christians? Two questions.
I am telling you, for the sake of the country, you are taking the middle of the road, cut and join story. The time you're talking about the illusion of Obasanjo, you have had
it is history, Dr. Katch.
As president.
It is history.
Let's say you had Buhari as president, that's a Muslim. You had Abacha as president, that's a Muslim. You had Babangida for 8 years, that's a Muslim. The laws that those people made are still binding on me and you till this minute. The states those people created are still being used today to rule Nigeria as I speak to you. All the calibrations, all the decrees those three people made are still upon us. And don't forget, they took from Shehu Shagari. So don't conjoin, don't cut and join. If you want to take the date from Shagari...
No, I'm not doing that. You are the one who was talking about Buhari's time as president. So and if you are taking back to the military days, Doctor, you remember General Obasanjo was a Christian as well.
Stop cutting the date. You have spoken. Allow me to talk. You are jumping into my line of thought.
No, please go ahead.
You don't want me to talk so that the people will hear.
Go ahead.
You spoke for length. Allow me to speak.
That's why we have you here. Dr. Katch, please go ahead.
Dates, allow me then to have my line of thought. You started speaking on a conjoined date where only Christians started. What about you going back to put Shagari, then put what's his name, Buhari, put Abacha, then put Babangida, and you see how many years that took Muslims to calibrate laws, write decrees, to set up Nigeria where it is today. The states that were created in those years are still the states we are using as Nigeria. The laws that were made in those days are the laws that we are living with today as Nigeria. The new states Abacha did, the decrees Abacha wrote, together with Babangida, are the ones that we are using today to run Nigeria. So why are you now calling only Olusegun Obasanjo and Goodluck Jonathan? There were laws made under them. Those laws still exist. But if you are not talking about only counting when Christians came to power, I want to take you back to when Muslims were in power. So don't cut and join. And if you want to go the full haul from independence, you will see that the Christians have not...
No, Doctor, with due respect, sir, I thought you were only talking about democracy where people had a choice. I want
you to understand.
Yeah. I thought we were talking about democracy where people have a chance to choose who leads them.
Democracy has not allowed us to have choice. Well, that is exactly why I will tell you now that in 2019, in our party, the PDP, because of the Northerners left a mass to go and do the NPDP in a caucus led by Atiku, they've now formed the APC in anger. The PDP, in a way to ameliorate their anger, zoned the presidency in 2019 to the north. And that was that Atiku emerged. Him and Peter Obi ran on a ticket. So I am reminding you, if we could zone the presidency to the north, then to give the north that advantage, you could also zone the presidency to the south. And that's exactly what the PDP had done to zone it to the south. What happened? A lot of machinations were constructed to make sure the PDP was made comatose. And who started that? Atiku Abubakar. So these are all Muslim-construed acrobatics that have undermined the chance of the Christians to participate in the governance of Nigeria. And that's what I'm pointing to you. So whether you now speaking for Tinubu, maybe because it favors you or you like to speak to that term,
there is nothing like that. I am now reminding
Dr.
Katch, you and I know there is nothing like that. You don't want to put that narrative up. You and I know. Dr. Katch, you and I know there is nothing like that. I'm just doing my job here.
I agree. Let us take your words as face value. But you know Nigeria.
Yeah.
Whenever journalists speak, they might be speaking under pressure.
No, I'm not speaking under pressure. And you will notice with the time we have had it on this program,
that was why journalists
it's about nationalistic opinion.
Or as Buhari launched his jihad, even clergymen were afraid to speak as Buhari launched his jihad.
Dr. Katch, let me quickly remind you, there is a second point that you have not taken, and of course, trust us on this program, all is about the people. And the point is this: the obedience, everybody making this position, especially the narrative, like, okay, if it's in the South, let a Christian to emerge to lead Nigeria. Are you saying they are supporting Obi on a religious ground because it's a Christians? Are the obedient and supporters of Peter Obi only Christians? Will he emerge as a good leader because he is a Christian?
There's nothing wrong with Christians to make a case for inclusion of Christians in a Christian majority democracy. There is nothing wrong about that because we have had a lot of Muslims-inspired problems against Christians, like the genocide that we're talking about, which nobody is coming on your station to come and deny anymore, since the Americans are proving beyond doubt that the genocide did take place. So what we are telling you is, please, there is nothing wrong if Nigerians, Christians, Muslims, or people from the South come on television to make solid arguments that the Muslims who have now pretending like they've captured the country should allow the balancing that allows Christians to also gain access to the presidency. That is a good argument to make. And because when you allow the Christian-Muslim balance, the country seems to sustain its equilibrium in this, our experiment of nation building. Let us not allow a Muslim capture to sustain, because that will make the Christians to feel out of place in Nigeria. So let it be as it was after the Civil War, as it was arranged before Buhari said no, that the Muslims don't need to share Nigeria with the Christians, that the Muslims won the Civil War. That's where we have been since from that time of Buhari doing his coup, saying the Kweme cannot rule because they cannot afford to share Nigeria with us, the Christians.
All right.
The argument had not changed till now.
All right, Dr. Katch, let's come back to this topic before us today. What exactly is Peter Obi's leverage to the ADC? Remember, he defected to the party on the 31st of December 2025. So we'd like to know what his leverage is into the ADC. That, I mean, others are defected way before he did, and so it may have been from consultations and consolidations and concessions made, including agreements. So we'd like to know if you're privy to that. And then we left the last discussion on a very interesting note where I said probably his leverage may be the southeastern leaders that he has moved into the ADC with. And you had a very interesting take. You had an aversion, a strong aversion to the fact that I said those are, you know, Igbo leaders. I mean, if he moved into the party with Emeka, and Emeka Ihedioha, who was a former deputy speaker of the House of Representatives, who Peter Obi, who is a senator, Victor Umme, senator, Tony Nwoye, senator, Gilbert Nnaji, senator, Eyinaya Baribe is the only person you recognize. Let's talk about that, Dr. Katch.
I recognize other politicians of the Igbo extraction who escorted Peter Obi in his declaration day. I also want to tell you that we are on a movement. In 2023, we rejected the status quo. In 2023, we formed the Obidient Movement. A lot of us had that momentum, and we brought it to bear in our support of Peter Obi. Due to that, a lot of the Igbo politicians who were supporting Atiku, like Emeka Ihedioha and the rest of them, lost their electoral relevance. There is nothing wrong in them now seeking to ride piggyback on Peter Obi back to electoral prominence. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay? So it's all about survival and people seeking stuff. So in that case, don't call them Igbo leader. That's why you're asking my question and say, why is it only about Igbo that I see? I also see some people like Tony Nwoye who were with us during the struggle for the correction of that exclusion of our people from the PDP's acrobatics. And of course, the PDP didn't survive it. And so that's what we want to ask people like Atiku Abubakar, who started all the crisis when he refused to allow zoning that will ascend to inclusion of the diverse people of Nigeria into his governance. That is what led to the death of the PDP. When you now had extreme reactions from people with thuggish mentality and those who were genuinely angry at what had happened in the PDP. So what I can tell you right now is that we should bear the full picture in our mind when we are doing anything that we are doing. Leaders like Enyina Baribe, leaders like Tony Nwoye, leaders like Isinotume, and others have joined Peters, and then losers, of course, who we tolerably defeated, who were still backing Atiku Abubakar, who we disgraced in Igbo land, have also recognized how much wrong they were. They have now come and they intend to ride piggyback on Peter Obi back to political prominence that are recognized. So please, don't call it as if it is a group action. No. There are those inside that group that I point to as people who you can point to as being steadfast, trustworthy patriots of our struggle. And of course, there are those who are not part of our struggle, but who now want to piggyback on the success of our struggle into relevance again in the political space.
All right, Dr. Katch, the second leg of my question is, what is Peter Obi's leverage? I mean, or for better coinage, what is, why do you think this presidency or nothing stance will work in the ADC, where there is an Atiku who's still very much interested in that ticket?
Rotimi Amici and the rest.
Dr. Katch, are you there?
Our game is premised on the... Yes, I'm here. I don't know if...
Go ahead, please.
If you can hear us, Dr. Katch, please go ahead. All right.
All right.
Yeah. But then we are due for a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stay with us. All right, this is the home stretch, and we have been talking about Peter Obi and his supporters' quest that he, be allowed to emerge as the presidential candidate of the ADC to challenge the ruling APC, of course, whose candidate is the incumbent President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And some will say, my colleague asked the question to say, what's that leverage? What's he really bringing to the table? But let me quickly add this. Before Topper comes in again, there are some that will say Peter Obi is just like any other Nigerian politician that will say a thing and maybe do the other, for whatever is advantages or whatever is coming with, whatever they may be with he and his supporters. Some will say, how is it different from any other Nigerian politician? What's this myth about him? And in fact, you should listen to what he said years ago and where he is right now. I'm talking about the video of Peter Obi.
And one people will say, oh, maybe you will leave APGA tomorrow. It's a subject. It's not, politics is not about running from one place to the other. And then, no. Whatever you can do it from wherever you are and do it properly. And let me tell you what Fashola said. He said, doing good work has nothing to do with party or coloration. So when I see people jumping from here to here or doing this, no. You have to be consistent. Leadership is you have to be consistent, focus on the job. Know what you said yesterday, you fulfill it today. Where there's disagreement, you come out and say, I disagree with this. And know when that disagreement maybe ends, and you say, okay, fine, that's it. Abner is strong, Abner is doing well, and I'm sure that he will continue to do well. I'm not one of those fanatics that runs around. So when...
Of course, this was years ago when he was still in APGA. From that time, he has left APGA to the PDP, to the Labour Party, now to the ADC. And he says he's not one of those politicians who run around, but then he has been running since he made that interview. So, Dr. Katch, what has made your Peter Obi different from any other Nigerian politician?
Because you are now running about looking for faults. That's what makes him unique. He has momentum. Today, he's the most popular politician in Nigeria. And we are telling you there's a reason for that popularity. The fact that people beckon to him, there is something they see. And that's what they seek, his leadership. And that's what I agree to. There is something in him that is very unique that I think Nigeria needs at this point in time. So let us discard those who gain advantage from the structures and the protocols established by military decrees. Let us go back to equilibration. Let us go back to inclusion of Nigeria. Let us allow the Muslims and the Christians to take turns in ruling Nigeria. Let us not accept the basis that these people are saying that we, the Muslims, we won, we captured, we won the war, we won the coup, we have control. We shouldn't allow those Christians any inclusion and governance of Nigeria. I think that is wrong. Right now, Peter Obi is the best that we have, and we insist.
I'm not
Nigerians give him a chance.
I'm not against anybody or even your narrative. I only brought up the antecedent of somebody who said something years ago and he has done the contrary, holding him. I think accountability should be a good thing, isn't it, Doctor? And you are saying I'm the one finding faults? I'm not Peter Obi who left APGA for PDP to LP to ADC. This is what has happened. I'm not the one who brought it up, isn't it? Or we should discard this because it's Peter Obi. Dr. Katch? All right. We will stay on this matter because one thing that Nigerians will really appreciate, and I think one thing that many Obedients, will think in his favor is the fact that, they think or they believe it is above board, beyond the regular Nigerian politician. And, when you find one thing about him, and you are trying to say, this is what he said at the time. This is what he has done over time. And Doctor is saying, I'm the one finding fault. If that is what called finding fault, I think we would rather find fault with every other person, in as much is about you saying a thing and doing the other. It's as easy as that. Now, if Peter Obi or his supporters cannot own up on this matter, so when it comes to public financing, what are we supposed to do?
That's true.
To shut it up so that we won't find faults. That's exactly. And I hope Doctor comes back on board. Yeah. And of course, I think Doctor is one of our most prominent featured guests on this program. And it shows one thing, that we really appreciate his opinion on this matter, but that it is what it is.
But then Doctor is just a member of the Obidient Movement. So,
well, either is the Obidient or the Articulates, or the Emilocons, or is the any other person, or the Kwakwansias, in as much there is a question to answer. you must answer that question. Because this is just the lead list of those concerns. How about when these people now we are holding Tinubu accountable, isn't it? Because he's the man in charge. Something has happened in Niger. Who will you call? Tinubu. Something has happened in Kebbi. It happened in Benue, the Yelwata matter. Who will you talk to? The man in charge or the governors there. And it's as easy as that, because you're talking about holding, the public trust. Now that he doesn't have that opportunity yet and he's seeking for it, how about some things that he has said in the past and he's not walking the path? Here to explain is as easy as that, because it's just about political movement. Now, when you now hold the button to make decision for the rest of the 230 million of us. So when we see something and we ask you here to explain, I think it will only be normal for somebody to say, oh, this is what happened, and it wouldn't be tagged as fault finding. I hope he will come back in this position. So, and I hope our producers are working on that to have Dr. get back to us by any means.
That other question we were talking about leverages. So if you call him, or if we have seen that is a regular politician, just like every other, what differentiates him?
It's about the notion of the people.
What brings him?
Because as far as we are here, we don't have any opinion.
What brings him now
what people are seeing,
to the point where his movement, his Obidient Movement, will now say that this is our stance. It has to be the presidency or not. What will now...
Talking about the ticket.
Yes, the ticket.
Given,
because he has met an
this.
article whom he was at loggerheads with in the past election, for whom he left, the PDP to the Labour Party. He's now in the same ADC. And he even met him. He has met an article in the ADC now. So who's going to, stand down for who?
And of course, there are other persons who have ambition, who have learned.
Yes, that we have not exactly.
Ambition.
So, who is going to stand down for who? And what is he bringing? Exactly what is he leveraging on? Is it the Obidient Movement? Is it the southeastern, the regional, southeastern region leaders that he has moved in with? All of those things are the things we need to know at this time, to further enlighten people and help them understand what the ADC is going to really do differently as an opposition party of coalition, in this new race that we're about to enter in the 2027.
And for the Obedience that are saying they don't want their principal, to be VP again. Remember, he has been VP before. So the same article in 2018. And maybe they feel he could do much better. And of course, that's legal. That's fine, totally fine. But just like the question, I will hope that, we can get this connection to say, what is that leverage that he has now with a portfolio of people in this ADC? You have an Aminu Twambo, who is now a political enemy to Nyesom Wike, because they believe he colluded with Atiku, not to allow Wike emerge as a presidential candidate in 2023, right? And, one of those issues for him is those issues that he said, you remember at the presidential primaries of the PDP, where every candidate has spoken. And he said, all of a sudden, Aminu Twambo, the former governor of Sokoto State, was given another opportunity to come and say something, and that was where everything destabilized. Dr. Katch, we are happy that you are back, sir. Can you hear us, sir? Oh, my goodness. What the connection thing this morning. Dr. Katch, you can hear us. Good morning, sir. Again. Okay. It's
now to round up that session with him, so we can have that very important question asked.
Okay, Dr. Katch, can you hear now, sir? If you can please unmute.
I can hear you, yes, sir.
Oh, please go ahead, sir, and land on your thought. You are going to land on your thought.
I'm just telling you that we are now on a campaign. We are now on a campaign to beg the political class, especially the Fulani politicians, to allow for an equilibration that presents balance. Allow the Christians to also be part of the governance of Nigeria, instrumenting acrobatics that will shut the Christians out of the presence of Nigeria is not going to gain or win anybody any accolades. These things have been done crudely. They were also done by the soldiers who did their decrees, carved more states in places where you have less Nigerians. We have returned to democracy. You have seen how very difficult it is for us to try to rework or amend that constitution has been. We have had constitutional amending groupings and committees, but we have not been able to make any progress since. That tells you what the soldiers did and how difficult it is for us to make any progress in regard to what they did. And that's why most of us have asked, let us sit down and restructure the country. But the Muslims are refusing. And of course, this is the reasons why they are refusing. Because they think they can stick with the advantages given to them by military decrees. And that's why we're now making this direct appeal. Never mind the mundane questions that get thrown at us. We want the country to return back to its balance, recognizing we have Christians and we have Muslims. The way the Muslims are playing it now, they are not only trying to push us out of the game, they even want to kill us, as we've seen the Fulanis do with their jihad. And we want to ask the Fulani to stop and retrace your step. Allow Christian to be part of the presidency again, and not mounting challenges and saying, no, you will not let it happen. When we imagine the presidency through votes, through Peter Obi's vote, you annul the election. And then when we ask why, you say glitch. Of course, there was no glitch from the testimonies of Amazon Web Services. So let us stop all these acrobatics, all these tricks to try to ensure that the Christians do not get to participate in the governance and presidency of Nigeria.
All right, Dr. Katch,
stop making it difficult for any part of the country. Allow people to be part of it. Yes.
This important question that we've been asking, we seem to have been missing it all of the time. This one now, is Christianity the leverage Peter Obi has on the ADC? What exactly is the leverage? Why should the ADC dance to the presidency or nothing stands?
The leverage Peter Obi had is his performance in 2023. We all know the truth. We know the reasons why the APC are always on Peter Obi, Peter Obi, Peter Obi, everybody. Peter Obi, Peter Obi, Peter Obi, articles, hired goons, Peter Obi, Peter Obi.
You're talking about his performance for a person that came third in that election.
That was how INEC arranged it. That is how Buhari and his cabal arranged it. But we know the truth. The fact that despite how they arranged it, we know the truth. Peter Obi's name is on everybody's mouth.
Dr. Katch, you're saying INEC arranges results now? Are the results not from the ballot?
INEC is still as fraudulent. They don't allow the ballots to count, and that's what we are saying. Since they didn't allow the ballots to count, we knew what the votes were. And because the government knows true, it was Peter Obi, but because of INEC's arrangements and the acrobatics, we still know in our heart of hearts it is Peter Obi. So we are saying, field him. He's the most popular candidate, not the one you beg. You want to become president, you want to talk to him, appeal his sense of decency, and then we now want to make an 81-year-old Atiku president. No, we won't accept that. If Peter Obi doesn't emerge on the ticket, we will not support that ticket.
All right.
That's what we're saying.
All right.
Very simple.
Yeah,
let people understand it.
Dr. Katch Onanuju.
We are not shifting.
All right, thank you very much. And of course, you know, when we were trying to reconnect, I said you are one of our most featured guests on this program. And that speaks to something. We appreciate your opinions on this matter. But when questions come up, like, you know, asking you to explain his movement from this party, even when he said he wasn't going to move, you know, from ABGA at that time, it's just to say, explain this part, even though many persons see him as a man of his word, even if it wasn't looking
the
like
part,
this is
I will
what
tell you,
you are discarding it as a mundane question.
When Nigeria was good, he was explaining, those explanations were made in context of when Nigeria had political parties.
Okay.
Now that there are no political parties, the people instrument death or a comatose condition for parties. It's a different thing.
All right.
Before now, you didn't have parties going into. Today, parties go into extinction due to the acrobatic instrumentation.
We are totally out of time,
authority.
Dr. Katch. We need to go now. Thank you so much for today, Dr. Katch Onanuju.
Thank you very much. I thank you very much for having me.
You're
it's
welcome.
Always a very good thing to be with you and your audience.
Thank you very much. And a happy new year to you,
Yes.
Dr. Katch.
Happy New Year, my dear brother.
Thank you.
Happy new Trump-infested year. Welcome to New Nigeria.
All right, whatever that is, we must go. Femi Ojo's my name. We'll make a return tomorrow. You can have a recap of this program, all the, you know, exciting programs from this station and from this channel, especially all the extras of this program on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television NJ. You have all the addresses scrolling on your screen. God bless Nigeria.
All right, I'm joining you to be hopeful for a very rewarding day in advance. My name is Tim Mitope. Bye-bye.